By the power vested in me as Chancellor, I hereby constitute this Assembly as a legal congregation of the University of Pretoria. During this Assembly, degrees and diplomas with all associated rights and privileges will be conferred and awarded to the candidates whose names appear in the program. We request all of you to join us in silent prayer or meditation to give thanks for the achievements of our students. Thank you. As Chancellor of the University of Pretoria, I extend a hearty welcome to you at this virtual graduation ceremony. I would like to welcome the Dean and Deputy Dean of the faculty, along with all persons to whom degrees and diplomas will be conferred and awarded. We also welcome families, friends, and spouses to this virtual graduation ceremony. A warm welcome to all who are joining the ceremony today, and a special welcome to our esteemed graduates who have achieved this milestone during this incredibly challenging time that our country, continent, and the world is facing. It is an honor to be part of this ceremony, a month of autumn graduations where 11,424 qualifications will be conferred in absentia between the 13th April and the 7th May. Today, as we celebrate your success, I would like to congratulate you on your hard work, tenacity, and resilience through this COVID-19 time. It has taught us how to be tech-savvy, how to adapt to unforeseen challenges, and how to honor and cherish life, as so many of us have lost loved ones during the pandemic. The thing about life is that no matter what we are facing, be it joy, hardship, sorrow, success, triumph, or disaster, life goes on. The determining factor is how we choose to walk this path. Nelson Mandela's long walk to freedom refers as much to his personal and political walk as it does to the long walk that we must all take in life to achieve freedom. Freedom to be ourselves, freedom to express ourselves, and freedom to achieve our highest goals. The walk is one of lifelong personal development, and it is also a physical walk if we're able. Many of you are no strangers to physically walking long distances. And while it can be associated with hardship, it is also healthy to physically walk. Our Vice Chancellor is a good example. He walks to contemplate his concerns, dilemmas, and thoughts. Kierkegaard, a Danish philosopher, wrote about this. He said, "Do not lose your desire to walk. Every day I walk myself into a state of well-being. I have walked myself into my best thoughts, and I know of no thoughts so burdensome that one cannot walk away from." I share this with you because it is our ability to walk, the walk of triumph over hardship and crisis, that determines our capacity for happiness, caring, and success. Right now, we are facing many crises. The COVID-19 pandemic is not only a disease crisis, it is a crisis of society, of the economy, of sustainability and well-being, and of governance, of the continent and globally. It is a big wake-up call to think and do differently, with our universities playing an essential role in co-creating the future we want. The future is wide open for all of you graduating today to contribute to changing our society and our communities for the better. You need to be the transformation you desire and to relentlessly apply yourselves to contribute to achieving a better world, as defined by the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. This is your calling. Speaking at another occasion, the Vice-Chancellor made the following comments on Sustainable Development Goals. Our success depends on the world that is thriving, where human dignity and justice are paramount, where all people are able to reach their full potential while nobody is left behind, and where our development does not happen at the expense of our planet. We recognize the critical role that our university and graduates must play in securing the future of our country and continent. All 10 of the world's countries with the youngest populations are in Africa, with approximately 65% of the continent's citizens being below the age of 35. Access to quality higher education is a fundamental building block, not only for economic growth, but for reimagining a future we can all believe. The capacity to participate in this is creative and exciting. It includes examining ourselves, our organizational structures, and cultures to ensure that they are relevant, future fit, and enablers of agility, innovation, and responsiveness. All of this needs to be done by leveraging technology, transdisciplinarity, and collaboration. In May, we will be hosting Africa's first Nobel Prize Dialogue, bringing together Nobel laureates, opinion leaders, policymakers, students, researchers, and the public to engage in conversations of the future of work. Digital skills and capabilities are a must-have for all students and graduates. In 2019, the University of Pretoria invested 100 million rands into the digitalization of our system, as we recognize the necessity of this for our students. At the same time, we are keenly aware that COVID-19 has amplified the structural inequalities in our country's education system. The National Ministry of Higher Education estimated that only about 20% of learners were reached through the various online platforms utilized during lockdown. To achieve access for all, we must advance the use of technology in all our schools and hold government accountable on its commitment to all learners and students. Since 2013, Cabinet has been pledging to deliver free broadband access to 90% of South Africa by 2020 and 100% by 2030. Further to the discussion about the future of work, it deeply pleases me to see how committed UP is to you, our graduates, being eminently employable or self-employable. The university fosters an entrepreneurial spirit among our students through the online entrepreneurship programs, business incubators, and small business development portals. It assists in growing innovation and entrepreneurship through the tax innovation ecosystem. This system provides specialized support to entrepreneurs throughout their startup growth journey, and it connects science and technology innovators with big companies, academics, and government. We hope that you make good use of this. UP is further committed to ensuring that you, our graduates, are at the forefront of the fourth industrial revolution, hence the extensive transdisciplinary curriculum in 4 IR fields, including big data science, data analytics, and artificial intelligence, offered through a range of departments and schools. The university recently launched Engineering 4.0 about all things digital in the transport and mobility space, and is training students in how smart cities and smart transport will work. It is also pursuing research on the ethics of AI, and the Student Counseling Unit has just activated a first-of-its-kind counseling chatbot called Scooby, whom we hope some of you have contacted, because Scooby uses artificial intelligence to develop and grow. The more it is used, the more responsive it becomes. Augmented and virtual reality laboratories and knowledge creation environments are sprouting up worldwide and being very effectively used. Our Department of Mining Engineering has the Kumba Virtual Reality Center for Mining, the only one in Africa, where our students are able to virtually experience being in a mine underground. It needs to be added that minerals and mining engineering at UP have just been ranked in the top 50 places in the world to study these subjects in the latest US World University rankings. In the same rankings, theology, religion, and divinity in our Faculty of Theology and Religion were ranked in the top 100, and their citations were ranked among the top worldwide, ahead of some of the most prestigious universities in Europe. Why? Because as the Dean of the Faculty of Theology and Religion, Professor Jerry Pillay explains, UP's focus is on relevant, contextual, transformative research to provide new knowledge that inspires people to reconsider what we think and do in our everyday lives and encourages positive change. He adds that justice and peace are two of the big issues globally, and there is a revival of introspection in terms of what is happening in the world. There is a reawakening to the realities of life. It is not an easy time, but it is a fascinating time for you to be pursuing the next step of your career. Fortunately, you do so with the strongest possible higher education to your name. I'm pleasantly struck by the excellence of our graduates and the quality of our academic staff. At UP, 68.1% of our academic staff have doctorates, the largest number in South Africa. This is increasing year on year. The qualification levels of academic staff have a direct impact on the capacity for research, supervision, and productivity, with an increase of approximately 70 doctoral graduates each year. A further measure of quality is the number of researchers who have achieved a National Research Foundation rating. We have 564 NRF-rated researchers, 16 of which are A-rated. And so wherever you find yourself over in the next few years, and whichever career you pursue, you can do so with utmost confidence that you are a graduate of the University of Pretoria. As I confer these qualifications on you today, I once again convey my heartfelt congratulations. I encourage you to go forth boldly into the world and to continue to ask questions, remain curious, seek solutions, and solve problems. Hold on tight to your idealism and your hope for a better future. Promote your university and support it in the best way you can, as a donor, mentor to fellow students, and an advocate of what you have learned. We are proud to have you as part of the UP alumni family. We wish you the very best, and we look forward to seeing you progress. I congratulate you again, and I thank you. I hereby confer and award all degrees and diplomas in absentia with the associated rights and privileges to all candidates whose names appear in the graduation program.
Doctor of Philosophy. Learning Support, Guidance and Counselling. Faith Kurete. Thesis. Enhancing student resilience through access to psychological counseling services in selected Zimbabwean polytechnics. Supervisor, Professor M.R. Mampane. Educational Psychology. Akolade Lapite. Thesis. Exploring the impact of attributional style on mathematics performance of senior secondary school students. Supervisor, Professor J.G. Murray. Master of Education, Educational Psychology, Patuani Makahane, Genevieve Arnold, Kristen Balshaw with distinction, Marianne Blunden with distinction, Zane Bosch with distinction, Michelle Gerber with distinction, Lucy Hathorn, Almarie Jacobs with distinction, Colleen Makolane, Sabira Musa, Zanele Paku with distinction, Lynette Marimba with distinction, Bongiwe Ube with distinction, Kiara Pillay, Rose Sempe, Tandeki Zange. Learning Support, Guidance and Counselling, Rebecca Stones with distinction, Tabiseng Temo. Bachelor of Education Honours, Educational Psychology, Jeanette Oret with distinction, Michaela Brock, Carice Buitendach, Alicia Jade Boyce with distinction, Martha Collitz with distinction, Jessica De Castro, Kirsten Dingle with distinction, Nicole Fortune with distinction, Susan Corinne Jacobs with distinction, Kyla Joubert with distinction, Yannicka Labaskachny with distinction, Joanne Landman with distinction, Karabo Ledwaba, Christopher Mareme, Amy Midgley, Mpumelelo Nguni with distinction, Tandeka Morris with distinction, Pascal Pistorius Taylor with distinction, Anu Reineke with distinction, Jessica Slack with distinction, Ashley Smith with distinction, Marga Straker with distinction, Dionne van der Merwe with distinction, Estie van die Kerk with distinction, Gemma Walton, Shanae Zeeman. Learning Support, Felicia Allen, Olivia Anderson with distinction, Tila Anderson with distinction, Inga Bolton with distinction, Nicole Bowes with distinction, Grace Buchan Smith with distinction, Chandre Serf with distinction, Ledine Grenier, Savannah de Camara with distinction, Janelle Dupree, Stacy Lee Dutoy, Sanal Engelbrecht, Marlene Ernst, Tegan Eep, Shannon Henry with distinction, Kaylin Erbst, Jessica Hewitt, Sarah Opane, Shawnee Jays, Ashley Leroux, Monique Leroux with distinction, Ngobile Bata, Vilmarie Miller with distinction, Maritza Nell, Tamsin Neville with distinction, Nondobeko Ntuli, Laura Pansachra with distinction, Carla Paulo, Magdalene Oshoko, Georgia Price Jones, Talita Rao, Amelia Sibande, Marika Strydom with distinction, Marnay Swart with distinction. Shanae van der Walt. Alucia van der Westhuizen with distinction. Danielle van der Westhuizen. Nikita van Heerden with distinction. Miket van die Kerk. Laverne Walker with distinction. Zoe Zegers with distinction. Teacher Education and Professional Development. Madri Botha. Sindiswa Buthelezi. Lantana Chipofia. Nicole Eichstadt. Damianti Gons. Robin Gous. Taslima Hazarvi. Fatima Kader. Nozipo Humalo. Stefan Krier. Sizwe Kubai. Anita Landsberg. Regina Lehabe. Mochau Mabokela. Kiara Maher. Peladi Malapane. Karabo Maloma. Henry Marx. Edile Masina. Madira Macheni with distinction. Ivan Meyer. Ntlantla Gomezulu. Tembelitle Nisi. Olorato Moema. Callan Moore. Darren Murihead. Letabo Kabinde Muife. Lesejo Piri. Ruvan Rusenberg. Shanae Saunders. Mbali Sibande. Sebenzile Sitsole with distinction. Liesel van der Sant. Savannah van Dyk with distinction. Paula Zastron. Bachelor of Education, Early Childhood Development and Foundation Phase. Tasmia Davoud. Kayla van Sale. Foundation Phase Teaching. Michaela Agathopoulos with distinction. Analdi Becker with distinction. Justine Bierkus. Mongokupiwa Biela with distinction. Christina Botha with distinction. Ayla Brown with distinction. Jessica Brown with distinction. Nomfundo Brukwe with distinction. Louise Burdett with distinction. Chantal Claessens with distinction. Katia de Castro with distinction. Bianca de Jager. Vianli de Koker with distinction. Megan Diening. Bali Klamini. Anastasia Dravilas with distinction. Manki Dube. Angela Eberson with distinction. Clarice Ebertson. Marinique Ellis. Jamie Eva with distinction. Sarah Evans with distinction. Megan Fu with distinction. Terrell French with distinction. Catherine Gremmels. Iman Haji Osman. Yone Henning with distinction. Ashley Hildebrand. Asanda Slangu. Anke Igu. Kirsten Ilot. Larice Janneke with distinction. Yanni Louise Yerlem. Nikita Jonker. Ariami Joubert, Carmen Joubert with distinction, Naledi Kabinde, Rike Marie Kok, Talita Kroch, Andrea Grier with distinction, Bella Kunene, Shannon Lee Lamb, Ramaredi Leshilo with distinction, Annalie Levis with distinction, Heike Lillier, La Rochelle Lawrence, Mpo Mabuza, Kirsten McLeod, Shibe Mangena, Zabile Mapotswane, Megan Marais with distinction, Angelique Maritz, Tina Masilela, Khadi Matsabata with distinction, Vanessa Matsane, Sipesitle Maisela, Kerry McSweeney with distinction, Hannay Meyer with distinction, Christel Menard with distinction, Zanele Debele with distinction, Olivia Mokhosi with distinction, Obakeng Moropa with distinction, Refilwe Msibi, Ntombizodwa Siza, Tilibali Mulautsi with distinction, Kerisa Naidu with distinction, Mongiwe Glela with distinction, Taylor Nunez with distinction, Megan O'Donoghue, Samantha Parker with distinction, Mariska Perry with distinction, Mariska Pinar, Megan Petersa with distinction, Abigail Pointer, Tamika Rup Singh with distinction, Jamie Ann Rousseau, Courtney Russell with distinction, Nadja Salbani with distinction, Megan Sheffer, Chloe Skoltz with distinction, Marisha Selwana with distinction, Nicola Shepstone, Cheyenne Siefe, Megan Smith with distinction, Marika Smith with distinction, Kaylee Somerset, Julia Steenkamp, Elizabeth Strydom with distinction, Anzel Swart, Almaz Da Mahomed with distinction, Megan Taylor, Laura Unsworth, Elsa Marie Ace with distinction, Bianca van den Berg with distinction, Melandri van der Berg with distinction, Bianca van der Merwe, Shirley van der Merwe with distinction, Vanessa van der Merwe, Isel van der Westhuizen, Leandri van Jaarsveld with distinction, Kirsten van Rooyen with distinction, Kyla van Weingart with distinction, Lyken Venter, Chandri Verraert, Kyla Vermeulen with distinction, Desiree Forster with distinction, Gabriella Wessels with distinction, Cara Vinnicus, Laura Willemse, Andiswa Abba, Aretha Zamundu with distinction. Ntokozo Zimba. Further Education and Training General. Reneilwe Baloy. Lopez Dube. Cassandra Leroux. Fortunate Lenata. Lehlohonolo Leuta. Tsepo Marco. Sandile Mabuza. Prince Mahlalela. Fanafuti Mahlangu. Sabo Matabesi. Emmanuel Matonsi. Apendule Mavuso. Charlotte Nhlari. Offense Motlame. Gift Mukari. Nkuleleko Nkosi. Mudiehi Ntebe. Samara Pele. Motsidisi Rampai. Lesejo Tokwane. Achievement Awards. Bachelor of Education Foundation Phase Teaching Award. Andrea Grier.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us give our graduates a big hand for their hard work and perseverance. I would like to thank the families, friends, and spouses for supporting our graduates during their studies. We have now come to the end of the proceedings. Please join us in singing the national anthem. By the powers vested in me as Chancellor, I hereby dissolve this Assembly of the University of Pretoria.
Gaudiamus igitur juvenestum sumus. Gaudiamus igitur juvenestum sumus. Post jucundam juventutem, post molestam senectutem, nos habet